Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Inside Politics here on Time Television. I'm your host, Ali Najmi, and we have a very special guest today. We have Mr. Ibrahim Khan, the first Deputy Public Advocate and Chief of Staff to Public Advocate Letitia James. Ibrahim, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, and I want to begin by thanking Time Television for having us and allowing these important conversations to happen. Really excited to finally do this. I think we've been talking about this for a while, so excited to be on and doing this.
No, we're happy to have you, and I'm really, your place in New York City politics right now is an important one for our community, the South Asian community, the Muslim American community, as one of the highest ranking city political employees and appointees. We're happy to have you on and have your insight. So tell me about yourself and how you got into politics and how you got to where you are now.
Sure. Yeah, I always tell the story about how when we were first learning about politics, we always thought that government officials were people who kind of came down from Washington, D.C. in like UFOs or like aliens or something, kind of like dropped down on us. I mean, it's comical, but it's kind of reality for our community that being a part of government may as well be a very foreign concept. So when I was in college, I realized that I wanted to serve. I was a part of my MSA. I was president of my Muslim Student Association at Albany.
Okay, SUNY Albany.
And we worked on a really important project that really inspired me. It was to get Eid to be an officially recognized holiday by the university.
Okay, wow.
And we became the first public university in the country to suspend classes on Eid.
Really?
Yeah, and look, for me, it was a really inspiring thing. It really inspired me into political action to think that we have a place here and we can do good things here. In a lot of ways, I do feel like it's coming full circle because now I'm in New York City government, and obviously, as you know, we just got
we just got it citywide.
Eids, absolutely.
What do you think that really means for the Muslim community in New York City to get Eid as a public school holiday citywide for public school students?
Well, I think on a symbolic level, right, it's really exciting because it shows that we've arrived.
Right.
We have the numbers, we have the organizations, we have the commitment and the participation to be counted. So that's really, really important, and it's really exciting. I think on a practical level, even more importantly, it's exciting because our children, quite frankly, don't have to choose anymore, but we can go into class and celebrating Eid al-Adha or Eid al-Fitr. And that's a really, both symbolically and practically, I think it's a really important thing. I wish when I was going to school, I'm sure you do too, that we had the Eids off, right? So I'm a little bit jealous of the kids now, but it is exciting, it's important, and I think when Eid comes around, children in our communities or parents or even teachers don't have to wonder whether they should go to school or be with their families on Eid.
Right. Now, what is the public advocate and what exactly does the public advocate do? And she's a good friend to our community and I know many people know her.
Absolutely. So the public advocate is the second highest ranking official in the city of New York. They're supposed to perform oversight over all the city agencies, including the mayor, and making sure that everyday people are not being harmed, whether it's by big corporations, whether it's by government itself, whether it's by bad actors. We have a saying in my office, a public advocate, Tish James, puts forward that everyday people don't have fancy lobbyists or lawyers. That's why they need a big-time public advocate to make sure that there's someone out there looking out for them.
Now, you're her chief of staff, and you're essentially under her, the second highest ranking person in the office. What's the day-to-day like? It must be crazy. You're working for a citywide elected official.
It can be a little bit crazy, but look, for me, it's been one of the most rewarding challenges. There's no greater honor, I think, than to be able to help your communities and to help the city at large. And to every single day be able to come into work and really focus on the issues that matter most. In our office, we focus a lot on children's welfare, making sure that our schools are good and safe places. We've taken on gun violence and those who fund guns that come into our city. We have fought to make sure that good jobs are created around the city in every single neighborhood and every borough. These are things that I think affect everyone in the city, but look, as a South Asian, to be honest, for me, it's really, really exciting and coming here and talking to our community because I think they affect us even in a more special way because we are a growing community. We do need to make sure we have good, decent schools that are doing a great job in educating our kids, and we have jobs that are people and all people can access. And so being a part of that, being in the middle of that, working on legislation to make that happen, working on litigation to go to court to protect people's rights,
Right.
making sure that we use the bully pulpit to make important issues come up. Those are all really exciting things for me
Right.
personally to be a part
So,
of.
where do you think our community is politically in New York City in terms of how we're participating, how much of an impact we're making, and how seriously elected officials are taking the South Asian community in New York City, the Muslim American community in New York City?
Well, I think there's no question that people are starting to pay attention. And I think I always give credit to folks who came before us and who really laid the groundwork, including people like you who ran for office, right? And that was a really big deal that you ran and ran sort of very honorable, above board campaign where you really discussed the issues. I think all of those things are really helpful, and I think people are starting to take notice. The one thing I will say is that our work is far from complete, right? And,
Yes.
and it's we have to. I always say we have to put our participation on steroids. We need to make sure that every single person in our community is registered to vote.
Right.
Once they're registered, that they actually go out and vote.
What party should they register in?
Well, look, they can register in any party they like. I'll settle. I'm a Democrat, but I'll settle for anything as long as you vote and you're counted.
Right.
That's the single most important thing they can do. If they happen to be a registered Democrat, I think I'll take that as well.
Right. Right. So now, people have been talking a lot in this community about a whole host of issues. One big issue has been seniors and our seniors and how to serve them properly in language, halal food. Well, as somebody with so much experience in government, what would you say if there are people watching that have an issue they really care about? How can you get their issue resolved? Like, what do people have to do to get government to move?
Look, this is a great question, because I think that for our community, taking care of our parents and our grandparents and our elders, it's a very special value that we share. Whether you are from Bangladesh or Pakistan or India, when we come here to this great country, one of the values that we really try to hold on to is making sure we take care of our parents and that they remain a big part of our lives in their golden years. Having said that, there's no question that we don't have today, we don't have all the services that we need, particularly in our communities, I find. So if you are at home and you are concerned about this issue, it's important, like anything else, to be counted. You need to talk to your local council member, your local state assembly member, your local state senator, your local member of Congress, the mayor, and yes, the public advocate. And make sure that that is being heard as a top issue, because I can guarantee, as somebody who works in government, if an issue is not being brought up, no one will bring it up for you.
Right.
So we really need our folks to be engaged, and everybody to be engaged in making sure that issues like senior services are a top priority.
Right. Right. What are some of what's the top 2-3 things the public advocate's working on this year that she really wants to get done?
Well, there are a number of things that, like I outlined earlier, that are top priorities. I think that one immediate thing that we're working on right away in the coming weeks is this issue of safety and bullying in our schools,
Right. So
particularly as they relate to our communities, those who are Muslim, those who are perceived to be Muslim, whether in the Sikh community.
Right.
And the background of this, as you know, and I think unfortunately our community knows all too well, is after 9/11, there was a real wave of hate crimes that permeated throughout society. But one area where we saw them really present was schools. And unfortunately, every single time there has been a tragic terrorist attack, whether in Paris, in California, wherever it might be, our communities wrongly take the brunt of it.
Right.
And it seeps its way into our school system. And we have gotten complaints. I can tell you, in my office, in the public advocate's office, we have gotten real complaints from real people, from parents, from students who are concerned about what the city is doing to address these problems. Because if the children in the schools they don't feel safe, they're not going to learn. And and for any up-and-coming community, that's the number one.
So how do we protect our kids?
Well, first, we have to make sure that the city's school system is dealing with this in a specific way, that they're aware of it, that they have the curriculum to make sure that that kids are learning about how to deal with these issues, that our educators are trained on dealing with it, and that we make sure finally that kids and parents understand that this is something that's being watched, and that there's an understanding that when you go to our schools, if you are a young girl wearing a hijab, or if you're a young boy wearing a turban, or whatever the case might be, or you have a Muslim-sounding name, you have as much a right to be there as anyone else.
Well, absolutely.
And that those rights are protected.
Now, how do you think as a community we can battle against this rising Islamophobia in the United States, particularly with people like Donald Trump sort of fanning the flames? As the community's political strategist, what would you advise us?
First of all, I don't think of myself as such, but there are very, very smart people in the community who can advise us. Look, I think Donald Trump, everyone's talked about it. I don't know how much more can be said about him. The one thing that I do always point out is I see Donald Trump as an opportunity, just as much as he's been a challenge, right? I think that he has really galvanized the forces of discrimination and hate in this country.
Tell me about it.
But we have to make sure that we use him to galvanize the forces of goodness and of tolerance, and for our community, the forces of participation. I call this the uncle's test, right? I talk to my uncles about politics, and sometimes they yawn and they're not interested. But I tell you what, since Donald Trump has been in the picture, they've got interested. So when I talk to them and I say, Mamu, like, what are you doing here? You have to pay attention. All of a sudden, I see a little bit more interest. It's kind of funny, right? And it's, for me, and I think for all of us who care about the advancement of our communities, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to engage in dialogue about why we need to participate. It's an opportunity to take action. And most importantly, it's an opportunity to remember and remind people that our communities very much belong here.
Right.
We're not going anywhere. We're here. And whether Donald likes it or not, we're going to be a part of the process.
We just got to take a quick, short commercial break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back here on Inside Politics. Welcome back to Inside Politics. I'm Ali Najmi, and we're here with our very special guest, Ibrahim Khan, Chief of Staff to the Public Advocate Tish James. Ibrahim, just before the break, we were talking about the rising Islamophobia in this country and the need for our community to organize against it. There's a lot of elections coming up. I know there's a presidential election in 2016. There's another mayoral election, public advocate election in 2017. How do you think we can use this moment to really galvanize? I know you said it's an opportunity, but I think historically there's been a big gap between talking and showing up in our community. How do you think we can close that gap?
Well, look, our community is not necessarily a stranger to democracy and to political participation. We've done it back home. We just have to bring it here. So I think we have a real record here. Like, we come here to this country with a great memory of participating in democracies, again, whether they're in India, whether in Bangladesh, Pakistan. And I think we have to channel that a little bit here. We have to say, okay, it's great that you care about what's happening back home and that you're reading our great ethnic newspapers and watching our television, but let's talk about what's happening in our communities. What does it mean to deal with the real issues that people in our communities face? What's happening with the taxi drivers who are being discriminated against? What's happening with the need for workforce housing so that our people have a place to live when they're working here? What's happening with job training and education? What are the real local issues that are affecting our communities right here, right now? I find that when I make that connection as someone who's out there trying to organize and getting people engaged, a real light bulb goes on, right? That's when they start to say, okay, so I'm interested in what's happening across the ocean, but yeah, I want to know what's happening in my kid's school. I want to know what's happening with me when I want to look for my next job. Are there job training opportunities available? I want to know what's happening with my masjid, with my mosque, to make sure that it's protected and it's supported. So I think that's really the key. I think for those of us who are working hard to organize, remembering to connect the local issues with their communities and reminding them how important it is that they have a voice in those things.
Right. We've had a number of elected officials come on recently on this program, and one issue that everybody want to talk about, and you brought it up too, is affordable housing. And I know that a lot of our viewers are following things very closely.
Yes.
They know the mayor has just put out
Yes.
a very, very a new plan
Yeah.
on mandatory inclusionary housing. Where's the public advocate on that plan, and what do you think about that plan?
Sure. So the mayor has put out an important plan on this issue. We're reviewing it very, very closely. We've been in conversations with the highest levels in government about it. We've got some serious concerns about the plan. We want to make sure that it is truly affordable and that it continues to make our communities great across the city. And so we're going to continue to work on the issue. Look, we need affordable housing in this city, period. I was just in the green room actually talking to someone who works here, and they were telling me, look, I'm doing well, but my family is struggling to live in a place that we can both afford and has quality. So this is a real issue for the city, whether you're in Queens or in the Bronx or in Brooklyn or Manhattan. This is or in Staten Island. This is a real issue, and I think that our community needs to be a part of it. One of the things that we're doing is to make sure that when affordable housing is built, it's actually affordable. I think too often we've seen apartments go on the market in some affordable housing program, and you need to make $100,000 to be able to qualify or to be able to afford it, right? For us, that's not affordable, right? If you need to make $100,000, it's not an affordable unit. So look, we're going to continue to work at it, and I think like anything else, we need our community's participation to make sure that their voices are heard and people understand that when we build affordable, it actually has to be affordable.
Right. Now, Tish James, the public advocate, I believe she's the first citywide female African American.
That's correct, yeah.
And it's quite a historical moment. Of course, the city has had a black mayor in the past, Dave Dinkins. How do you think our community can work with other communities, particularly other communities of color, the African American community, the Latino community? How do we build that bridge, and what could it mean for us?
I think for us, it's important, again, to identify the issues that bind us. Particularly, I know, look, we've talked about Donald Trump and the challenges we face. There's a real issue in this country with civil rights. That issue has not gone away. Some people, I think, wrongly and naively thought that with the historic election of President Obama, things are going to be great and wonderful. And unfortunately, there's still a real challenge, and we really see that in this election cycle. And I think that that's one area, the civil rights area, is one area where we can really work with our communities and, quite frankly, learn from them, right? There are other communities that have had a head start on us when it comes to organizing, when it comes to making sure that they're represented, that they have a voice in government. I think that those are areas where we can see how do they organize, how do they work together, how do they get through their differences, right? One of the challenges we have is that we're not all alike. Different people from different places have different ideas and values sometimes, and but we have to work together. So I think we have to see how did the Black community get through their differences? How did the Latino community get through their differences? How did the Jewish community get through their differences and build coalitions and be successful? I think we have something to learn, but I think we also have something to add. I think we have a real passion, a real talent, a real ingenuity in this community, and we really need to make sure that we use that now that we're at this political precipice to be able to use those talents now in a way that we bring people together and we have a part in the social fabric of the city.
If you have any advice for people watching the show, if they want to get more involved with politics and having that voice, both civically and partisanly, what would you say would be the first step to take?
I would say go to your local community board, go to your local PTA meeting. I think it all starts locally. I think we start small and then you grow. And I promise you that if you have an interest, you will find your niche. You will find a way to participate. Believe me, there's plenty of need for people's voices. So don't be shy. This belongs to you as much as anybody else, and be a part of it.
So are you excited about the presidential race?
Very, very excited. We think it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's heating up. We'll see what happens. Right now we have a Democratic primary and a Republican primary, and eventually we'll have one candidate on each side. and hopefully it's going to be an exciting race, and our community will hopefully be right in the middle of it.
Any thoughts on the Democratic primary?
Well, look, I like Hillary a lot, but what I like most is seeing your folks out there participating. Right. So if I could have it my way, I would have everybody vote. I like Hillary, but no matter who you vote for, just make sure you vote.
Right. I believe it's April 19th is the day of the primary in New York. Polls are open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. You can't miss it. We just only have a short time left on this program. If people need to get in contact with you, or they have an issue or concern, or they need the help of the Public Advocate's Office, how can they get in contact?
Send us an easy email, gethelp@pubadvocate.nyc.gov. Send us an email, and we're going to get right back to you.
All right, Ibrahim, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Everybody, thank you for joining us today. Again, this is Ali Najmi here on Inside Politics on Time Television. We'll see you again next week.